Have you ever gone through a situation in which, on a day that was supposed to be in a union, something inside of you snapped quietly? That moment when you hope the conclusion is mixed with a sense of emptiness, and the hope that everything would have been different, and seems to dissipate in the face of a single message. It's strange to think that while many of the families come together around the table, fed up, and changing the laughs and the memories, there are those who feel that something vital is missing, even though no one says so on the surface. Stay with me until the very end, because that's all you're going to find out right now might surprise you, and make you think about a reality that is often invisible, hidden behind a smile, for the convenience and the appearance of a normal life. That night, my hope for this Christmas full of love has been replaced by a message to the cold, is a single sentence that seemed to weigh like a burden, invisible, Merry Christmas. And at the same time, it's a curiosity to the inevitable, and took care of me. What was going on that night? Why, as all eyes were turned to what appeared to be a celebration, and my presence has been missed, deleted, or left out in a way that makes it seem so subtle, and yet so cruel. It was as if for a moment, what seemed to be a date of hope and love turned out to be a bitter memory, which is marked by the absence of screaming, and no one seemed to notice or want to see it. The feeling of exclusion, so it may appear simple, it carries a weight that goes far beyond the physical space. It is a feeling of emotional isolation, to the invisibility of the social, the pain, the silent many of us carry in our hearts, a lot of times without anyone being aware of it. And the most difficult thing to understand is that many of the times, this exclusion does not come with a scream, not with harsh words, but with deeds so subtle that it can hurt you more than any of the aggression issue. It is a racism, cloudy, with a discrimination that is disguised as excuses mundane, the practical limitations on what seem to be some justification that is convenient for you, let someone in from the outside. You can't imagine what it's like to feel you on that special day. You are just forgot? Stay with me till the end, because this story is more common than it appears, and it shows the fact that many people would prefer not to admit it. It is a fact that needs to be seen, to be understood and addressed. And the one who comes in the following, we will show that this is the pain of exclusion. It is often invisible. It has a deep-rooted, and the consequences that go well beyond a single moment of solitude. Are you ready to find out what really goes on behind the message of the cold on Christmas? Then, continue on to me, because this story is just getting started. If you identify with some part of the journey, or he felt that twinge of reflection, when you hear these words, I want to invite you to leave a comment here below. Please share your own experiences, your opinions, or even the feeling that was kept in the course of the story. Your story is important, and that it can help others who are going through a difficult time, showing that no one is alone in this journey. In addition to this, if this is content that has touched your heart in any way, please like the video. For every like, it's a way of reinforcing that message, and to do that, the more people will have access to it. And if you want to continue with this kind of a story, lessons learned, and reflections, subscribe to the channel. Here, we aim to create a community where every voice matters, and where we can support each other and grow together. Your participation is what makes all the difference, because it is through it that we were able to scale this movement, empathy, and understanding. So, don't hesitate to leave your comment and enjoy. And if you apply all of this helps you stay alive in this space of connection and hope, there's a lot more to explore, and we want you to be with me on this journey. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because they understand the impact of our decision-making to the building of this community. It's something that goes far beyond the mere act of participating in. Each and every choice we make, every word we shape the environment around us, and it has a direct influence on the energy that flows between all of us. When you think about the transformation that we want, it is essential to understand that it starts within each of us in the way we think about our own challenges, and the way that we have decided to take action in the face of real-life situations. Too often, we underestimate the power we have to transform a little action on the movements of the real exchange rate. But it is the truth concealed, is that it is the details that can be added together to create a chain of impacts that go far beyond what we could ever imagine. The journey of personal growth is non-linear, and sometimes it brings out the moments of doubt, uncertainty, and even of failure as an attempt. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that we can discover an inner strength you didn't even know that it existed. It is powered by a mindset for learning, resilience, and courage in the face of the unknown. It's as if they made a conscious decision to keep on going even when everything seems to come crashing down. It was a foundation stone in the building of a new version of yourself. And this, in turn, is able to exert a positive influence on the whole of your network, creating a ripple effect of change. But the thing that really makes the difference in this case is the understanding that everything is interconnected. We are not isolated islands, as well as our actions will reverberate in the environment, the people around us, even in our own emotional health. When we adopt an attitude of care, empathy, and authenticity, we are helping to build a culture of respect. Where the truth is hidden, it is often just that, a force that comes from an alignment between what we think and what we do. In this respect, is the one that provides authenticity to our actions, and to do that, they will have a lasting impact. And at the same same time, it helps us to recognize our own limitations, transforming obstacles into opportunities for growth. At this point, it is important to understand that the path of transformation, it is not a solitary journey. Each and every step that we take is supported by a network that is invisible to the experiences, lessons learned, and above all, by a genuine desire to improve. It is in this context that the community will gain a fundamental role. It serves as a mirror and a space of exchange where we can reflect on our own beliefs and listen to the stories of others. In these stories, which often bear the revelations that can help us to see beyond what our eyes can pick up all alone, it's right there, behind the scenes of this shared experience, we have found the very strength to move forward, even in the face of hardship is apparent. For this reason, it is vital that we appreciate each and every point of connection, each of the open conversation that happens in the space of a switch. Such little actions, that may sound simple in fact, are the seeds of a more radical change, one that extends beyond our own lifetime. When we nurture this movement with a desire to learn, understand, and support, we are contributing to a transformation of the collective, which has the potential to impact generations to come. After all, it is the impact of a strong community and committed to something that transcends the individual, creating a truly great message, one that starts in our mind, in our decision to move with intention, and our desire to be a source of inspiration to those around you. And it is precisely at this point that I want to invite you to reflect on: what are the decisions you have taken in on a daily basis that can contribute to this transformation process? What values do you believe that you need to be reinforced in their life in order for this change to be genuine and to be sustainable? These questions will lead us to a deeper understanding of who we are and who we can become when we align our actions with our purposes, the most real. Because at the end of the day, real change starts within each and every one of us, and it is multiplied to the extent that we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, authentic, and committed to this journey of evolution. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the transformation that you are looking for, is not something that happens in an hour or so to the other one, not just because of the will or effort to stand alone. It is rooted in our ability to look beyond the surface, to question all the truths that you were taught, and to face our own shadows with courage and honesty." And this is where many people go wrong, because they believe that the change is not just a matter of willpower or a to-follow recipes ready to end up creating an illusion, which over time turns out to be an invisible barrier, preventing any real progress. If we think of the behind the scenes of this journey, you will realize that it all begins in our mind. The way we interpret the world and the decisions that we make based on our beliefs and our values and our ability to adapt to adversity are the elements that shape the impact we can make in our own lives. Many of the times, to carry him inside, and that in itself is a kind of a script written in our minds from childhood and through painful experience that we would prefer to deny it. In these stories, the internal work, such as a filter that distorts our perception of reality by creating a kind of prison to recognize that prevent us from moving forward in truth. It is at this point that the discovery of truth is hidden. It makes all the difference. When we begin to question what they have always accepted as truth, and we opened up the space for new understanding of the world and of ourselves. With this revelation, many of the times, it comes out of a meeting, silent, with our own essence, that part of you that knows that we are more than our limitations, and that there is a potential for falling asleep waiting to be woken up. This is a journey of self-discovery, which requires patience, but it's also about having the courage to face that which makes us uncomfortable. And a lot of times, we are not scared. And here comes the importance of understanding the decisions that we make on the basis of this new perspective. They have a direct impact on the quality of our transformation. Every choice, every action, every reflection, they are like steps that lead into the path of a greater authenticity and freedom. When we begin to align our actions with who you truly are, without masks or face masks, something powerful happens. We come to you live more consciously, more deliberately. And it's this change of mind is not just the part of it. It echoes in every facet of our lives, impacting our relationships, our careers, our emotional health. However, this is a journey. It also shows behind the scenes that a lot of people choose not to look in the face. They are the doubts that are built, and the old beliefs that you insist on keeping us in a comfort zone, and the fears that come up when we realized that to move forward, we need to give up what they have been with us for many years. These internal barriers, although they seem to be huge at the beginning, but in fact they are part of the natural process of economic growth. Each strength is a learning opportunity, a chance to strengthen our minds and commit to a new way of thinking and acting. And it is precisely at this point that we realize that the true transformation will require more strength or determination of in the moment. It calls for a paradigm shift, a fundamental review of the way we view our lives and the opportunities that exist beyond what we thought possible. This, in turn, you start with the small actions every day, with the choices that have accumulated over time, resulting in a revolution on the inside. It is a solid construction and a journey of discoveries and insights that challenge us to be better versions of ourselves, even in the most difficult days. Right now, I want you to go deeper deeper in the subject line, because that is one of the greatest revelations that many people end up finding along the way, is that the transformation is not just about achieving external goals or to change your circumstances, but, above all, to transform your relationship with life and the present, with whom you are to the truth. It is a process of internal reconstruction, where each and every small victory, every step of the courage to contribute to a change that is, at the same time, the deep and the unseen to the eyes of outsiders. And along the way, we discovered that the biggest battle is going on inside of your mind. Where do the stories we tell ourselves? You can be both a barrier and a bridge to something bigger than themselves. For this reason, the search for the truth that is hidden. For this is us to a deeper understanding of who you really are is a journey of self-transformation, which is worth the effort. Because at the end of the day, all of the things that we've earned and externally acquires meaning only if it is aligned with our essence, with everything that truly makes us tick. And when you realize this, we begin to see that a change is an invitation to a revolution in the homeland, and the opportunity to let go of the old paradigm and embracing a version of ourselves that has always been there, hidden under the layers of insecurity and fear. It is a journey of discovery, courage, and of the impact that the only one who allows himself to explore the behind the scenes of your very own to be able to keep what you have. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that we begin to discover behind the scenes of the transformation that you have been searching for. Many of the times, we believe that the change that is simply by adopting a new routine or to follow a set of clues, but the truth is concealed. This is where the real change happens, in those layers, the innermost of one's mind, where they reside in our larger blocks and limitations. It is as if from behind a curtain of the unseen, there's a narrative that's been built up over a number of years, shaping our decisions, our emotions, and, more importantly, our perception of ourselves. In this narrative, too many times, and it is fueled by the belief that you don't even realize they carry the truths, distorted, that prevent us from moving forward in a very light and authentic. When we start to build on those behind the scenes, we realize that our way of thinking is a critical piece in the puzzle. It acts as a filter that influences everything that we experience and how we respond to the situations of daily life. If this mind is full of doubt, fear of failure, or of a limiting belief, and automatically, she works as an anchor and on pulling it back, even when we want to move forward. But just as they find that this mentality is not a characteristic of the fixed up, it is a byproduct of the choices we make. And, most importantly, it is in our conscious decisions to reschedule what we've learned over time. How to reprogram the mind is a journey of discovery. It is about having the courage to come to grips with the truths that are hidden from those who would prefer to hide it for fear of facing who we really are. It is at this point that the transformation to become a real revolution in the interior. Because of the question of our own limitations, we can begin to understand that they are, in most cases, temporary buildings, which are created by a combination of experience, external influences, and, above all, a story that is convincing to believe that we will not be able to change it. But the big reveal is that, in this narrative, it can be rewritten in a step-by-step with small daily decisions that you are going to strengthen our self-confidence and helping to define a new version of ourselves. To explore the behind the scenes of this journey, we begin to understand that the transformation is not a one-off event, but an ongoing process of self-awareness and have a positive impact on our history. Every decision we make, every thought that we have cultivated, it is a piece that contributes to the construction of a mindset that is stronger, more resilient, and more in line with our true desires. It is a journey of discovery that requires patience, because many of the hidden truths come to the surface, to the extent that we are ready to deal with them. And this is ready, for the most part, comes from a conscious decision to want to evolve. You want to break up with you over the limit, take control of our own impact. From this understanding, we can see that the real transformation does not change the surface, but it is a silent revolution that is happening behind the scenes of our work, where the choices of deep and genuine are made of. And when you make those choices, we are building up a new chapter in its history, a story of courage, authenticity, and the impact that reverberates beyond ourselves. This is the journey of having the courage to look inward, to challenge the beliefs that have been imposed upon, and, above all, is to embrace the fact that we are the protagonists of our own, a transformation. Every step on this path is revelation, a chance to break free from the shackles and invisible that prevent us from achieving the best of who we can be. And, as we dive deeper into these scenes, it is clear that the impact of this change lies in our ability to make up a new story, to create a growth mindset that encourages you to go beyond your own limits. This is a journey of self-discovery is, in effect, a transformation from the inside to the outside, where every choice is a seed planted for a future that is more aligned with who you really are. And it is precisely at this point that we begin to understand the true power of a conscious decision. It is not the only influence on the present, but also shapes the impact that we leave on the world around us. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at this point that we realize the decisions we make, a lot of times, they carry a load that is invisible, which goes goes beyond the immediate outcome. They are like little keys that unlock the doors to the different versions of ourselves, in the versions that you may have never imagined to exist up to, that we find the courage to choose something different, something that challenges our status quo. This understanding leads us to reflect on the impact of our actions in the universe is the most extensive on the web, the invisible connections that we see around us. For each choice, as small as it may seem to you, it influences not just our way, but it's also the path of those who are around you, whether it is direct or indirect. And then, in the process, we can begin to understand that transformation is not something that happens overnight, but an invitation to journaling, to rewrite the stories of inmates who often carry on without realizing it. It is at this point that we realized just how much it is important to be aware of our own emotions, our own high standards of behavior, to our deepest beliefs. Because in the end, the real difference comes from a conscious decision to look within, to confront that which is hidden beneath layers of fear, self-doubt, or even to a routine which holds that it is well known. It's as if, when you decide on a new direction, we are opening up the door to possibilities that before would have seemed impossible, but in fact, they were always there, waiting for the right moment to be found. At this point, a lot of times, we found a quiet strength, an inner voice that tries to convince us to stay in your comfort zone, even though he knew that it did not work for us anymore. And it is precisely here that the strength of our way of thinking comes in, because it is the basis of all this is a journey of transformation. Cultivate an open-minded, resilient, and able to accept change as a natural thing is what is the difference between those who argue for who gets stuck. It is as if it were a kind of shield that protects us from the questions of criticism, both internal and even external reviews. They try to turn us from our purpose. At the same time, we realize that our decision-making, it also leaves marks on the social impact in the community we have built around us. An act of courage, authenticity, and honesty, and the echo as well as our own universe is built. And a lot of times, it was in connection with one another that we find the true meaning of what we were doing. Because deep down, we are social beings, designed to learn, grow, and contribute. And it's this contribution that starts out at exactly the guts to be true to the truth, even when it challenges us to that which is usual or to be expected. After all, one of the greatest transformations in the history of humanity have always had to start with a decision to go above and beyond what seemed possible. And it is at this point that we understand that the journey of self-discovery is not a straight line, but it is a path full of curves, twists, and even meat. Every step you take, every choice brings a new revelation, a new layer of understanding. And at the same time, it also reveals behind the scenes of this story, and the fears that you are still trying to stop, the questions that urge to show up, the limiting beliefs that you insist on rooting for, even when I don't make a lot of sense. But at the same time, it's all part of the learning process of the growth. Because at the end of the day, the strength is not the absence of obstacles, but in the ability to overcome them with courage and wisdom, and especially self-love. And while we're walking through this road, you start to realize that every decision in life is like a seed that can be planted with the intention to germinate and flourish into something that we could not imagine at the beginning. It is a transformation of a silent, almost invisible, but the impact is deep and profound. And at the same time, each reinforcing a new mindset, a new way of looking at the world and ourselves. This internal evolution is the one who leads us to discover the true power of being the protagonists of our story. We become the authors, are aware of a situation that we have created with our own hands. Right now, we're at that point of deep understanding. It is a question that you don't want to be silent. The degree to which their decisions are reflected in the search for authenticity and its impact, how their decisions are aligned with the truth over the years. These questions, while simple, have a huge power, and it can be the trigger for a new stage in that journey of transformation, which of course there's lots of signs. And in the meantime, we continue on the journey. Always pay attention to small and big changes that are happening each and every day. We are aware that the true power lies in our ability to make decisions, to choose what really matters to you, and to follow firmly in the direction of our purpose and deeper. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this subject, for it is precisely at the heart of these decisions every day that is also a real transformation. Many of the times we believe that major changes are happening all of a sudden. An extraordinary event shall be responsible for making all of our history. But the truth is hidden. The one that you just are able to see is that the real exchange rate rises in the routine and the small choices we make without even realizing it. These are the details that shape our way of thinking, one that reinforces our beliefs, and, above all, to lead us to the next level, more and more conscious of who we are and what we really want. If you think about it, we realize that each and every decision, however small it may seem, it bears a great impact on our journey. It's like a seed that, when planted in a daily basis, it generates a tree that is strong and resistant to the passage of time. And more than that, this tree has become a symbol of the growth of the internal evidence of the persistence, and a commitment to our beliefs have the potential to create deep-rooted in our hearts and minds. When we believe in the power of small small actions, it changes everything. The routine is no longer something that's automatic, and it is a chance to reinforce our core values, to train on our own strength of will, and can build a strong foundation for the next steps to take. In this journey of self-discovery, it is common for us to face the obstacles that seem to be greater than our own strength. After all, life is full of challenges, the moments when everything seems to conspire against our evolution. Yet, it is precisely in these moments that our true essence is revealed, the courage to move forward, even when the evidence points in the opposite direction, that is, the difference between those who want to transform themselves. Here, the importance of a mentality that is resilient, it is self-evident. This is not to negate the fear of the pain, but to learn to live with them in a way that is not in the paralyze, but one that moves us in the search for solutions, to look beyond the immediate horizon. And speaking of impact, and it's fascinating to see how our emotions also play a crucial role in the process of change. When we are in alignment with our core values, we feel a different energy, motivation, and genuine, that it makes us want to do more, be better. It's like an invisible force that connects us to our deeper purpose, showing that, in fact, we have been able to create the reality we desire, so long as we keep the clarity of the decisions that we make. This is the connection between thought, emotion, and action is the one that gives meaning to our experience. To make every step is a key part of building a life in a more real and full. From this understanding, it is easier to see that the transformation is not a one-off event, but a continuous journey. Each day brings new opportunities, new choices. You might get away or get closer to our true selves. And even though the times may seem uncertain, it is the certainty that we are in control of our decisions and give us the strength to follow it. After all, it is the freedom to choose is, in its essence, is the greatest gift we can receive, as it is through them that we have built our history and shape our own realities, and above all, reveal who you really are. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the understanding of the impact of our decision-making extends far beyond the present, is something that can change the way we think about our own lives. When you begin to realize that each and every choice, it is a seed for the future, we can begin to act with more awareness, more understanding. This is a genuine internal revolution, a transformation, a silent but powerful. It puts us in charge of our own destiny. And in the process, we discover that the truth is hidden behind all this journey is that we are the authors of our own stories, that are capable of rewriting of any chapter that does not please you, as long as you have the courage to take control and move forward with purpose and determination. It is in the daily routine and behind the scenes of our mind, or in the decisions, which seem to be small, it all adds to the impact of what we create. And this realization leads us to a state of clarity, where your questions will lose power and will come up with new questions to ask. Does it really matter? What value do I want to strengthen it? How will my actions reflect my essence is closer to the truth? These are the questions that fuel our quest for living a life more aligned with your dreams and ideas. Because deep down, we know that it is the path of transformation is a journey of discovery and the constant revelations in silence, which invites us to look beyond the obvious and to plunge into the very depths of our potential is hidden. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. I now want to go more in depth on this topic because they understand that true transformation doesn't happen from one hour to the other, is a crucial step for anyone who wants to really develop. Lots of people are coming in this phase of the search for fast results, assuming that a change in the surface is enough to transform all of reality. But the truth concealed is that the real growth requires you to immerse more deeply in the very essence. It is as if we were navigating through a sea of possibilities. You will often realize that the key is to explore the current internal on the move, those who too often remain invisible to the eye. Think of the changes coming from the action point of the decision in the moment. It's just an illusion that keeps us from achieving the long-term impact that we seek. The journey of transformation that is made up of small, repeated actions, the choices are aware of the fact that, from time to time, they will shape the way we think, feel, and act. That's what the concept of mindset, one that is often overlooked in the busyness of day-to-day life, but is, in fact, are the foundation of all progress. A change of mentality is not the case with a simple idea. It is born due to the constant reprogramming the internal, and of a kind of a silent revolution, which occurs in the deepest part of our being. And on this silent revolution, in turn, is fed by a hidden truth, which very often we would prefer to ignore. Behind the decisions that we make, there are a total of limiting beliefs that operate behind the scenes to influence each and every step that we take, even when we think that we are in control. This kind of faith is often inherited to shape our expectations and to determine the extent to which we are willing to step outside of your comfort zone. It's like having an invisible spectrum of influences, which, when released, has the power to impact greatly on our path of growth. When you immerse yourself in these behind the scenes in the mind, we can begin to understand that the journey of transformation is non-linear. It is full of ups and downs, moments of clarity, and it also questions the deep. With each revelation, each and every insight, it works like a piece of a puzzle that, little by little, we will be putting in our understanding of who we really are. And in the process, we found out that real change is about having the courage to face up to what is most real in us. us, even if the truth is uncomfortable or challenging. This is the quest for self-knowledge leads us to reflect on the impact of our decisions, about how each and every small choice you can set off a chain of consequences that, in the future, and if that results in a transform inside of you. It is at this point that a growth mindset is strengthened. As we all know, we are, in the main, responsible for creating our own reality. The power of change lies in our ability to reprogram patterns of opening up the space for new possibilities. And the more we connect with this understanding, the more we come closer to living a life more aligned with our values and dreams of the most profound. At the same time, this journey shows the importance of maintaining an attitude of curiosity and constant questioning of what we have been taught, to break down old beliefs and to rebuild a more authentic self. After all, it's the true transformation happens when we allow ourselves to explore the roots of what keeps us moving forward, when we take responsibility for our own process of change. And this movement has been built. It is often accompanied by the revelation that seem to be minor, but that in fact, they represent the points of a turning point in our history. With this deeper understanding, it is clear that it is not enough to simply want a better life, or waiting for something external to change by itself. The change begins from the inside to the outside of an informed decision as to whether to look at it with honesty and to confront their own shadow, and to embrace the unlimited potential that exists in each and every one of us. It is a constant invitation to awaken to their own truth and to recognize one's own limitations, but also to celebrate our capabilities in a way that I never imagined to be possible. And in doing so, we can see that each step in this journey of self-discovery is a revelation quiet, a very important part in the construction of a new reality, a deeper, more authentic, and more in tune with who you really are. Now, I want you to think about all of this. Because of this connection, the interior is what really makes a world of difference in your career transformation. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too." To dive deeper into this universe of self-discovery, it is unavoidable to notice that so many of our daily choices are shaped by a kind of veil is invisible, a layer of the constraints that we have from the childhood, which has been reinforced by society, by our relationship, and even by our own doubts inside. And many times, without realizing it, we become trapped in a routine that does not reflect what we really want for our lives, but what we have learned to accept it as a fact. This discovery is quiet. It is like a key that once turned, he starts to uncover the hidden truth behind our actions and decisions. It is at this point that the transformation is starting to take shape. Because the comparison of these limiting beliefs, we can begin to break down the things that prevent us from moving so true. I now want to go more in depth on this topic, because they understand that the process of deconstruction is, in fact, to understand the impact that a change of mind you can get in our way. It's not just about changing habits in the surface, but also about transforming our perception of the world and of ourselves and of the possibilities that are available to us. This change in perspective, it is a real revolution in the home that affect our daily decisions, our reactions in the face of obstacles, and even the way we think about failure. When you start to question all the truths that you were taught, we opened up the space for a new narrative, one that is more in line with what we really are, our dreams, deepest, and the values are the most important. It is a kind of freedom that expands our awareness and strengthens our courage to follow the path to what really matters to you. This is a journey of transformation, however, is not straightforward or easy. It is about having the courage to look in the mirror and admit that you will often carry emotional burdens that you don't even notice it. These charges may be fears to be rooted, insecurities, who are disguised as auto-sabotage, or even a false sense of safety in your comfort zone. It is at this moment to arise with the revelations of the most significant ones, the ones that challenge our deeply held beliefs, and that often causes us to question everything we thought was true. These disclosures, you can see the details of the conversation, quiet, with your own soul, or even in times of crisis, when they were faced with courage, turn on the big catalysts for change. It is like taking a journey of self-discovery, where each step reveals a new layer, a new truth that is in closer and closer to the core of the most pure. We know that this transformation will not happen overnight, and it requires dedication, patience, and a portion of the auto-complexion. After all, a change in the way that you think and feel about ourselves, it's a delicate process, which requires careful and constant attention. Many times, you need to revisit the old stories, to confront old fears, and above all, to learn how to listen to your inner voice is often drowned out by the noise of the outside world. It is in this silence that you can find the biggest answers of the insights that lead to a deeper understanding of our purpose. With this understanding, in turn, gives us the strength to carry on, even in the face of difficulties, because we see beyond the surface, beyond the barriers of the moment, and you realize that it's all part of a large building's interior. This discussion leads us to a question that seems simple, but it is a fundamental question. What is the true essence of what we want to prove it to the world, and how our daily decisions can contribute to such a revelation? To these questions, we invite you to explore our behind-the-scenes to internal understanding of what's really on the move, and one that is aligned with our deepest values. And when you do that, you start to realize that authenticity is, in fact, it is a powerful tool for transformation. When you are true to who you really are, everything around us becomes one to reflect this fact. As well as our actions, they gain a new power. In this connection, and authenticity is what is the difference between a journey to the surface of a journey of true transformation, in which each step is fraught with meaning and purpose. As we move forward in this way, it is clear that the impact of this change is not limited just to us. It reverberates through all of the environments in which we live, impacting our relationships, our dreams, and even of the way in which we can contribute to a more conscious world. Every discovery, every decision you make with a conscience is a fundamental building block in the construction of a new reality that is aligned with our core values, the more the true. It is as if each and every small act of courage, it was a seed to grow, transform, not only our history, but also of the universe around us. This one is a beauty on a journey of self-discovery. It is a continuous, full of insights and opportunities that are ahead of us, just waiting for you to have the courage to open the door for them. And, as long as the journey unfolds, we learn to cherish each and every moment of silence for each of quiet reflection, an opportunity to deepen this connection with our inner selves. It is in these moments that we realize that it's the truth. It hides many of the times. It is in the simplicity of what you feel and the courage to be authentic. This authenticity is what drives us forward even when the path seems difficult to fit into the story, because deep down, we know that every step forward is an expression of our truth. It's a celebration of our transformation. And, as it happens, you start to understand that this is a journey. This is, above all else, a proof that we have the strength to rewrite our history and to challenge their old beliefs and to make a long-lasting impact that goes far beyond the superficial. He comments that, "It makes no sense to me. Right now, I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that's the true transformation doesn't just happen on the surface, it explores behind the scenes of our mind and at the core of our decision-making, and intimate. It's in the space of a silent, often invisible to the eyes of the one who observes, that the most powerful change begin to take shape. Have you ever noticed how our beliefs, the more deeply rooted it often works out to be true, hidden shape our actions without being noticed? These beliefs, but many of the times, from the early childhood, the environment, or traumatic experiences, they act as a filter that distorts our perception of reality. And so, we end up creating a kind of prison is invisible, there is a limit, which prevents us from moving forward to the truth, to explore new possibilities, and set us free from the past that keep us. To understand this dynamic, we can begin to understand that change is not only a decision in the moment, but it's a process of deconstruction, and reconstruction is ongoing. It is as if, for a behind the curtains of your mind, you're going to a battle, the silent between who we were and who we wish to become. And in this battle, many a times, it is in the locked position for the internal forces, which is not always possible to identify at a glance. To find out these hidden forces that requires a courage that most people are not willing to take, because it's all about to confront uncomfortable truths, and a lot of times, you have to accept that many of the choices we make here have been influenced by the patterns that do not serve us anymore. Yet, it is precisely at this point that the day-to-day becomes more and more intense, and potentially life-changing. When we begin to unravel the layers of our story, we realize that we have the power to rewrite the script. We are not victims of the past, but the authors of our present reality. Each made a conscious decision. With each change of perspective, it's a piece that contributes to a story more in line with who we really are and who we want to be. And that transformation, and although it may seem quiet on the outside, it is a revolution in the domestic reverberations in all aspects of our daily lives, affecting our relationships, our career choices, and even our relationship with time itself. The truth hides behind all of this is that, often, the more resistance they have found is within us, in the comfort zone, so that it seems safe. This is a trap that keeps us from experiencing true freedom. And then, how much more will we allow ourselves to tap into that space of discomfort? The more empowered we become, because we have learned to trust in our ability to overcome internal barriers. It's like, when you break through these invisible barriers, open the door to a whole new reality, where the possibilities are endless, and the impact that our actions have gained a dimension that seemed to be out of reach. This is why a good understanding of how our decisions are influenced by that fact hidden. It gives us a powerful advantage in your journey of transformation. When we begin to question our own limitations and to seek out the roots of our deepest beliefs, we begin to act in a more self-aware and align our actions with our values as the most important. And in this connection, the authentic is the one that really makes all the difference, because it allows us to live more fully, with purpose and courage. It is a journey of self-discovery, which requires a commitment, but what a reward it with a sense of freedom and authenticity that few things in this world are able to offer. Now I want you to go deeper in the subject line, because that is the impact of this discovery goes above and beyond what we could ever imagine. When we allow ourselves to build on those racks built in, you start to realize that the biggest key to lasting change is in the courage to face up to the truth, as hard as it may be. And in doing so, we are able to spread our wings to fly beyond beyond the limits of that which before seemed to be insurmountable. This is a journey of self-transformation, is a real eye-opener, an opportunity to reclaim the power that has always been inside of us, waiting for the right moment to bloom. And as you embark on this discovery, we see that each step is a reaffirmation of our power, is a celebration of our authenticity, and a proof that it is the real change begins from the inside to the outside, and the courage to be who you really are, regardless of the masks we wear or the expectations of those around us. And at this point, it is clear that the path is not linear or easy, but it is extremely rewarding. Each and every challenge faced, every belief is broken. It is like a seed planted in our souls, which germinate into a new version of ourselves. It is a journey that requires patience, dedication, and, most importantly, a sincere desire to evolve. Because in the end, the search for the truth hidden in the shows that the greatest change is one that happens in the silence of the heart, and the courage to be authentic, and in the decision to keep on living with purpose and integrity. And in doing so, we will give you a step closer to a fulfilling life in which our actions reflects the true essence of who we are and who we can become. He writes in, "I'm on this journey too. If you've come this far, it's because they really connect with the story and the ability to search for something deeper inside of you. I believe that our journey of self-discovery and transformation, it is never by chance, and have it be a space for reflection. It makes all the difference." I would like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here we share content that help you to look beyond the surface to understand who we are from the truth and turn our daily lives with small actions daily. The value of these ideas is on how they can truly make a difference in your life. And I just want to let you know that this space is made for you, to be with you on this journey. If this message resonated with me until the end, leave a comment saying, "I'm on this journey too." Thus, we are able to create a stronger connection and knowing that we're not alone in this process. Take the opportunity to give a like on the video. It is because of this connection that we have created over the content becomes even more powerful when you can demonstrate that you're here, that it is aware of and appreciates the value of this trade-off. And look, there's a video right here on the side, which complements this subject. You can click and keeps me there as well. I'm pretty sure that's going to help you to reflect on this further and to follow the firm on the path of growth. So, stay with me, because the very best is always to come.